I've tested thousands of products over the past 8 years, and today I'm going to compare and battle the ILIA Complexion Stick versus the Ogee Complexion Stick. I'm going to tell you 3 things about each, probably a few more things than 3, so you know what to buy or which one not to buy, and then I will give you my final verdict at the end, of course. Full in-depth scorecard reviews for each of these will be linked below, so you can check those out if you want to dive deeper. I have closer demos, wear tests, all going to be back on the Style Shaker, or you can go check out my favorites out of the thousands I've tested. These are the current winners of the bunch. It's a short list. That's why this is an honest review. I am not being paid to say the following. So if you like that kind of a thing, make sure you hit the like button. It is a little thing over here. It makes a huge difference. So thank you in advance for that. So I have the ILIA multi-stick in Tupelo and Sycamore. I have the Ogee complexion stick in Linden. The brand did send this to me. I'm under no obligation to review it. Purchase the ILIA products for myself. So ILIA is $48 per complexion stick. You're getting 0.35 ounces with this one. You're going to get 0.34. So they're both pretty similar, except when it comes to shades. So the ILIA stick has 42 shades available currently. I'm gonna remove what I have on my face so you can kind of check them out side by side. So using my handy dandy coconut oil. Random aside, I had a really bad skincare reaction. My skin is still recovering, and go figure, the one thing that worked, I dropped all my cleansers, all my masks, all of it, and I just used coconut oil, which I know some people fear for acne problems. Works like a charm for me. Am I going to go back to some of my cleansers? Yeah, obviously not giving me the deepest cleanse, but it worked and it didn't irritate anything. So random shout out to coconut oil. I'm going to put this on the cheeks where I have the most redness. You will see it applied all over the face in the demos that I already have on the full scorecard. So in case you're curious, that's why. I've been prepping with the Kinfield Sun Glow sunscreen. Normally I used to prep with the Say Slip Tint or Sun Visor. This is just phenomenal stuff. All right, so we have prepped hydrated skin, which is what we always do before we apply. The ILIA formula is vegan, it is cruelty-free, non-comedogenic. It does have a lot of polymers inside that are up front, and I don't usually see that. They're usually further down on the list. I am not a cosmetic chemist, this is not medical advice, but if you're looking to avoid things like that, then this is gonna be a bit of a deal breaker for you. I'm gonna go in with Sycamore. There are ceramides and peptides. This is skincare meets makeup. What isn't these days, but that's just so you know. And there's no coconut oil in this, even though I just slathered it all over my face. The Ogee foundation stick or complexion stick is also cruelty-free and vegan. Focus on Ogee is really about the organic ingredients. They're very big into their sourcing organic ingredients, which is wonderful. They are also gluten-free, so that might help you make a decision. However, there is coconut oil in that formula. They use a lot of oils. 20 shades is a solid spectrum of shades, so I'm not mad. It's just not as much as the ILIA. Now we're going to talk about coverage and application, which you can totally see me doing right now. I am using the Ficlo. This is a teddy brush. This is actually meant for blush, but I love it as a soft alternative to the BK101 brush that I primarily use for foundations. These kind of go back and forth. It just depends on how the foundation is. Is it dense? Is it creamy? Is it liquidy? That kind of a thing. Application, I'm going to build now. The application for ILIA blew me away. I've tried several multi-sticks or complexion sticks, foundation sticks, and I usually do a little trick of adding a drop of oil into the mix. I'll show you exactly what I mean in a second. Don't even have to think about it. I do think, unfortunately, those film formers and polymers and things like that are making this do what it does so well. But, you know, that's just a guess. For the Ogee, I just take this stick. I have this in Linden, like I already mentioned. I'm using a drop of the Le Prunier oil. I just put a little bitty drop right on top, and I rhyme. And I take the brush, pop it there. Technically, you should probably do this on the back of your hand, I guess. Not a makeup artist. That should be very, very, very obvious at this point. Yes, yes. But I do that, and you're thinking, why would you add more oil to something that has a lot of oil? Listen, I don't know. I have no idea. But this thing works for my skin. And I would have thrown out or really rated some complexion sticks poorly had I not figured this out, like the Westman Atelier in particular. I have applied this and tried it with oil and without, and I'm still getting a very glowy finish, but I'm going to talk to you about that in a second. For some reason, it just helps it melt into skin and look really natural. I do feel like the ILIA gives a little bit stronger coverage. I will build this up. It's a little bit more finicky to work with, but overall coverage here is really strong and it is buildable. I just don't like building the Ogee up too much because then it starts to settle a little funny throughout the day rather. I don't see the polka dot pores. I'm not seeing that with this, but it just starts to create a little bit of texture. It starts to just not look so great on my skin. I have drier skin. I just keep it very well moisturized, and especially heading into winter. So as I continue building, the coverage does its thing, but I'll talk about finish in a second. It's just not as flawless. It's still pretty good, but it's not as flawless as the ILIA. I need to talk a little bit about scent for my favorite people who are like me or obsessed with these things. ILIA has no scent. That's what I thought. I remembered it, but then I forgot it for this review. Ogee has a very strong scent. It is like patchouli-esque. If you like patchouli, I can't stand patchouli. I do not like patchouli. It all goes back to a high school experience. If you want to know, we'll do it in a Get Ready with me. But if you're okay with that scent and a strong scent, then that's fine. Last up, finish and multitasking. Because these are multitasking sticks, I tested them under the eye too. I can tell you if either of them worked. So the ILIA finish is incredibly natural, really beautiful. I can spot treat. There's just instant blending into my skin here that I just rarely see in a stick. I just hate that it's probably because of the polymers, but I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. Now, for under the eye, it depends on the shade you get, right? So I'm using Sycamore for this. I primarily apply it in the corner. It has concealer coverage, but it does crease for me. So a couple things you can do there. Set with powder. You can pre-set with powder and put this on top. There's a number of different ways to do it, but it will give you coverage under the eye, but it's not going to, and look at that, it really brightened actually. It's not going to not crease. Love a double negative. The finish on the Ogee. I know you saw me use the oil trick for this, which of course is going to make things a little bit more dewy. This is naturally a dewy formula. I find that most Ogee formulas are like that. So even if I didn't use the oil, it would still be glowy. This just doesn't work for me under the eye. Again, you'll see a coverage and evening out. Most people online, if they're giving you a 60-second review, will be putting this on going, oh my God, do you see that? Do you see how good that looks? Yes, it looks good and it provides coverage, but give it an hour. It will crease, and most things do crease, some more than others, and these tend to decrease a little bit more for me under the eye. So I just used those tricks that I talked about, whether it was a pre-powder kind of swipe on or just applying powder on top. I have the RMS Unpowder here. So I've been using this kind of a lot. It's a really good blurring powder. Like, wow. With the triangle poof, frankly, like this could be enough for you. I have just tried way too many concealers and really liked certain ones. So I know how good a concealer can be that's specifically formulated for under eye concealing. Is it good enough? Probably. I think the ILIA stick is probably a little bit better at it than the Ogee, but it really depends on your skin. So if you have oily under eyes, some people have oily lids, the Ogee is going to be tough. But if not, and you have dry skin, that Ogee might be a very, very happy place for you. You might love that. Final verdict between these two. So performance-wise, I prefer the ILIA. It just blew everything out of the water and I really like it. I much prefer the ingredients on this one. Which one is your pick? Honestly, I tend to reach more for the Mob blurring foundation that's really sustainable. That's the one that I reach for most, so I don't usually go with a stick. I don't know why. In terms of creamier foundations that tend to be a little bit more tricky to apply on my skin, that one is just easy breezy. You again can see the rest of my favorites back on the Style Shaker under Britt's picks. Also, what should I review next? I want to give you the option to create my content calendar because it would actually really be helpful. Tell me what product you want me to review next, put it in the comments, and then over the next couple of days, probably 48 hours or so, whichever one gets the most likes, I will pick. Don't forget to hit that like button if you haven't already, subscribe, and keep me posted on what your thoughts are along with what other products I should test. Bye.